Good morning, Neo Chance. Is it a bowling shirt? I think it's like a sport shirt. It's like a run around outside shirt. I'm sure you could bicycle with it. Yeah, you don't have to run. Any active activity should be good for it. Hey, Mitch. Greetings. Glad your workday is not looking too overwhelming. All right. Announcement up there. Let's go make sure there's an announcement in the dojo. We've got that new bot, the stream cord thing, but it's not guaranteed. Seems to have been announcing quite a few things. Viewer game 30 quads. Okay, cool. Cool, we're good. It's 30 plus 0 Fisher sub, yeah. All right, let me quickly catch up on chat. Sorry, I looked away for a moment. All right. I have a new idea for a chess tournament I could actually win. It's like chess boxing, except that not only do you have to play chess and box, you also have a guitar playing round and a round where you complain bitterly about how cold it is. And it's also not a tournament. Sounds like a good event, the sciences. I've been thinking of a similar one, honestly, not to make you think that I'm just stealing your idea. Yeah, I've been thinking of doing something like that. We're doing 4 round tournaments, Helgilde. 3 round tournament, Helgilde, starting in about 10 or 15 minutes in little groups of 4. So you register, and then I will split you into groups of 4 by rating, and then you will challenge people in your group. And I'll just type a little thing over here. It's actually going to take 3 hours, Nick, this tournament. going to be a 3-hour tournament. Okay, I'm going to edit Rotterdam Girls entry and replace his or their rating with 1900 to get them into the correct section. So everybody, at 11 o'clock, I will split you into groups, and then you'll be able to find the quad pairings in this spreadsheet. It'll look like this. Here you'll be able to see your groups. I'll rearrange it. Anyway, for now, the question is just, would you like to play chess for 3 hours? If yes, you can register. If no, just hang out. Grab yourself a croissant. And that's right, Daster. This is a no withdrawal tournament. Once you're in, you're in. Okay, hang on. I fixed the access, so you guys should be able to see it now. It starts in 12 minutes, Daster. And it's going to be exactly 3 hours. You play 3 games at a game 30 time control. Everything is split into 4-player tournaments. You play the other 3 people in your section. So you play 3 games in a row. Game 30, no increment. That way we're sure that the round times end when they're supposed to end. Yeah. Always trying something new, Alpha Canis. Always got to try something new. Otherwise, you don't know what people prefer. If I have to get up at 5:30 a.m., when would I go to bed the night before? I would go to bed at 11:30 p.m., Daster. And sleep exactly 6 hours. The requirements, Pox, you have to have a chess.com account, and you have to be willing to play the full 3 rounds. Well, the science is he just asked me what I would do. I have no idea if that's good or bad. I tend to feel great if I get 6 hours of sleep. It's just sort of rare for me. Well, if people like it, Michiko, we'll run it again. If people don't like it, then that might be the end of it. We may relegate it to the dustbin of history. Yeah, sciences. And I've never slept 9 hours a night. Never. But when I get like 4 or 5 hours, I feel bad. When I get over 6, I feel pretty good. A FIDE judge? No. I should also run it at a different time. Fair enough, Alpha Canis. Fair enough. I'll run it one more time after this and see what people say at 2 different time zones. Yep. And Scott's got a couple years left. Scott's in the early rings of hell. I will organize you guys into groups in 8 minutes based on rating. One hour later would be perfect. Well, that's a very precise adjustment for you, Halgilda. I don't know if that's the best time for everyone else as well. All right, Ari Uzumaki, we have to update your rating. Sure, I can do that. 1297. But now stop playing and leave your rating at 1297. We'll have another game for you in 7.5 minutes. So just chill on that for a moment. The question says, what is your current chess.com rapid rating? So yeah, the rating it's asking about is rapid. Yes, the sciences. I ate a Queen last week. This week I didn't get a Queen. But yeah, they're very good too. All right, I'll adjust Fox rating as well. Octopus Knight, sadly, you play on Lichess. You don't even have a chess.com account you could play with. Well, I'm going to assume that if Octopus Knight really wanted to play this tournament, they'd be able to figure out how to open their chess.com account, so I will not bother them anymore. The next episode of the Postmortem Heim, Saturday night, as far as I know. Saturday night, 9 p.m. Pacific. If you are in Israel, as I suspect, I think that might be 7 a.m. on Sunday morning for you. And it'll last 3 hours, so if you don't get up at 7, I mean, it'll probably go until like 10 a.m. your time. Should I save a spot for you in the queue so I don't promise too many people I'm looking at their games? No? Okay. If your chess.com rating is out of date, Octopus Knight, and you do want to come in and play, I will put in your Lichess rating minus 300 to get you in hopefully the right quad level. Yum. This is going to be fun, folks. You're going to play like a real serious tournament. 3 hours, game 30. This will be different. You pay to not be able to play. That's a little bit confusing, Daster. Hey, Sonic Walden, welcome. Anyone can play Slow Death. They just have to commit to playing all 3 rounds. There's no withdrawing from this tournament. This tournament is called, this form of running a tournament is called a round robin. A round robin is a tournament pairing system where you play everybody in your section, whereas a Swiss system is a pairing system where you just get paired with people each round who have similar numbers of wins and losses and draws as you. So in a Swiss system pairing, you can withdraw and people will just get paired with each other. In a round robin, if you join a round robin and then quit, your opponents who are just supposed to play everybody in their section now have a missing opponent. And there's no way to repair them or find someone else for them to play. So it's unacceptable. If you withdraw, you won't be allowed to play in Chess Dojo tournaments in the future. Uzumaki. Yeah, anybody who withdraws will not be allowed into future Chess Dojo tournaments. Yeah, ergo Scott can't join because he doesn't know if he'll be able to play in 2 or 3 rounds based on the kiddo. It starts in 2 minutes, Robert Master. I think I will, no, whatever your reason is, I will not accept it, Uzumaki. I mean, it may be as good as you like, but it will be a good reason for me to not let you play in future Chess Dojo tournaments, right? King Marcher, I see somebody in the tournament named May King March, so I think it worked. Yeah. All right, I think that's enough registrants. I will close registration and make the 4 sections here. That's right. If your house is on fire, then good luck with your house. All right, so let me set up these sections here. I will set it to, how do I set it to not taking responses? There we go. No longer accepting responses. Quad registration, great. All right. So we're going to take these players and we're going to sort the info by column D. Okay, you guys see how the pairings work? You're number 4, 3, 2, 1. And yeah, you'll need to be in live chess for your opponents to challenge you. And I'm going to switch the play command so that you guys can refine this spreadsheet here as needed. Moobot play. Sorry, hang on. Moobot's logging in and out. Trying to get you guys the info quickly so we can get this tournament on the road promptly. Okay, so now I've replaced this play command, and if you click in that link, John Z and everybody else, you will see you are grouped into groups of 4, right? And you'll see your name, like for example, Robert Master 7 is rated 818 and is seed number 4 in that quad. Mr. Disco 99 is seed number 3. The quad pairings are round 1, whoever is rated number 1 in the group has to play white against whoever is rated number 4 in the group. Whoever's rated number 2 in the group has to play white against whoever's number 3 in the group. Then in round 2, you'll see it says number 3 has white against 1 and number 4 has white against 2. And that's how it works. And I am going to go follow some of you guys so I can watch the games. We have 16 players, 8 games. I can watch that just fine here. So I'm going to follow Robert Master 7. Robert Master 7 is logged in. That's great. I'm going to follow Mr. Disco 99. Unable to follow Mr. Disco 99. So probably Mr. Disco 99 needs to log into live chess. It is Chess for Friends. The groups are set. And the pairings have the player who has white first. So like in round 1, 1 has white and 4 has black. 2 has white and 3 has black, etc. Unable to follow Mr. Disco. You should challenge your opponent to a game with 30 minutes and 0-second increment, Uzumaki. That's right. Sorry, Chess for Friends. The tournament's already started. The games are set and people can challenge their opponents now. Oh, and here I've got a game up already. Zach. Let's follow Zach. Let's follow Rotterdam Girl. It's up to you guys if you want to challenge the games rated or unrated. I would say rated makes sense since these are pretty serious tournament games, but it's up to you. Okay, now we've got a lot of games starting. Rotterdam Girl needs to log into live chess. All right, I've got Argosin against Mr. Disco started as well. You can't all lose rating. You have to play against each other, right? Bishop b5 check is okay, Wrath of Gods. It's like a playable move, interesting enough. All right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 8 games that I can see. Okay, I've got Rotterdam Girl. That's game 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm only missing one game right now. Ari and Polly are playing. Robert Master versus MJ. That's the missing game. Hey, Chess Stock. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, Maddie Dada wondering when should you play rated versus not rated. You should probably, I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you. All right, the last game has started. Robert Master versus MJGG is live with the Vienna game. Nice. Good luck to all our contestants. Any of our contestants who are still listening to the stream, I would advise you to mute or close the stream during your games, so you're not distracted by my talking, nor do you maybe listen to me talk about your game and see me say like, oh, white should play queen g4 here, and then after d5, queen e6 check. That's the best opening for white. And then, you know, you get that international master insight. You play some moves I suggest, and your opponent feels like they got cheated. So. Why does white often trade the light squared bishop in the Sicilian? Is it white's better bishop and confused? Well, whether or not it's white's better or worse bishop depends on what opening white plays, right? It always depends where you put your pawns and where your opponent's pieces are, which of your pieces ends up being the better piece. So there's no one answer to which piece is your better or worse piece in the Sicilian or any other opening. There's still like a lot of different variations and possibilities that can come up. Daster, in your country, are you banned from gambling Dojo Gold on Jesse's Blitz games or something? 3 books of chess. My Life in Games by Mikhail Tal. Grandmaster Preparation by Lev Polugaevsky. And My Great Predecessors by Garry Kasparov. Give me all volumes, please. Am I allowed to have all of them? All right, so this Vienna game turns into a 4 Knights game, and now a 4 Knights Scotch. Very good. Very good. Nice central play by both players. Fighting for the center with the knights, fighting for the center with the pawns. Good classical chess. My stamp of approval. Let's check on Mr. Disco and Argasin. How's their game going? Looks like a Sicilian. This was the Smith Morra, somebody said, right? Okay, so white's down a pawn, but they've got lots of open space for their bishops and rooks at the moment. So the position's very, very interesting. Some of the black pieces are going to struggle to get into good position. This is quite a dangerous gambit in my own opinion. The Smith Morra, I think, is very, very dangerous to play against as black. So we'll see how Mr. Disco does with it. My first book that I recommend when a player hits 1200, like long ago, it would have been like a book of like chess puzzles, but nowadays that's covered by doing puzzles on some kind of website like chess.com or Chess Tempo or something. Lichess probably has tactical puzzles as well by this point. So that used to be like what, players even below 1200 would start with, is just collections of puzzles. But once you're already doing puzzles on some kind of website and your rating hits 1200, my first recommendation for a book is Winning Chess Strategies by Sirowan and Silman. That's what I always recommend. Like, the point of reading a book at that point is definitely to... Sorry, my phone is just going crazy. The point of reading a book at that point is definitely to get introduced to like big strategy ideas, I think. So that's what I'd recommend there. All right, Argasin looking to bring the last piece into play. Very, very good principles of development here from Argasin. Really just bringing everything out nicely. Okay, and oh yeah, I forgot, we should be on chess.com TV, so I'll go see if anybody over there is asking me questions that I need to answer. So, it's been so long since we've used chess.com TV, I totally forgot about it. Nice. Anyway, hopefully that gets us 1 or 2 new people who find out about all the tournaments and events we run. I don't think a lot faster, Daster. I think almost nobody looks at it at the moment. Chess.com TV, they just go straight to whatever Twitch streams they want to go to now. But just in case, if there's anybody out there, welcome. We are Chess Dojo, and we run a lot of tournaments for our viewers to play in and cool stuff like that. All right. Nice, Steve North. Nice. Ordering books from the library is awesome. Yeah, it doesn't hurt, Daster. It just takes some time to try and like organize it. So I hadn't done it for a few months because honestly, I think it's like, maybe like 1 or 2 new sets of eyes per hour. So I don't know if that's worth 5 minutes of my time. Yeah, they can't see the Twitch chat. So anyway, Twitch chat tells chess.com TV chat that they love our channel. So now you know that. So what should black do now? This pawn's coming under a lot of pressure. One of the big dangers for black is actually that white could already trade, and then take on d7. So maybe the best move for black is to move this knight to g6 here. And then it lets you put a knight on e5 at some point. So I would probably be looking at knight g6 here. Although then after rook d1, rook d8 is out the window because that'll be attacked. So we'll basically have to calculate knight g6, rook d1, knight to e5. White trades once and then puts the bishop on f4. It's still a lot of pressure for black. Whew. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's quite a lot of pressure. Oh, sorry, did Ari Uzumaki have a question? Who's MJG77 and Robert? Oh, they're just people in the tournament. Just some chess players. We don't know too much about them. Knight g6, rook d1, knight e5, trade it, and then push f4 instead of bishop f4. And then d7 drops. Yeah, but it would be complicated because when you play f4... Actually, maybe it's not that complicated. Knight there, rook there, knight, f4. Yeah, maybe it's not that complicated. Maybe that would be good for white. It's definitely a good idea, Wrath of Gods. Okay, so black plays f6 to get the bishop's pressure off of e7 and d8. And Thorbittles and others calling it a necessary evil. It definitely often goes with the knight on e7 that you play f6 to cover your dark squares, and black has traded the dark squared bishops. So I would say f6 is like a pretty desirable move, actually. We'll see how it goes, but I would say f6 is quite desirable. Uzumaki, aren't you playing your own game over here? You should just go into focus mode, my new friend. You should mute the stream while you play your game, then come chat with us whenever you're done. I know, he's thinking right now that's a big advantage for him. You should go think too. See ya, friend. You'll really enjoy your game without listening to us, I promise you. You'll enjoy it. This is good stuff for you. Yeah, we're all cheering for you. Everybody here's cheering for you. So go give everything you have to this game. We are also cheering on your opponent. It's true, Daster. We are also here for Zeno Folkert-Sma. All right, Chess Friends wants to see Trav Kuskin's game. Trav Kuskin facing one of my other students. And, well, Trav Kuskin's position does not look good to me. I like Falk's position. I like this position for black. I think the C pawn is much weaker than the B7 pawn. So black has better control over the C4 square, more pressure on the C3 pawn. This pawn can always go to B6 and be defended by the A pawn. That will make white's B file less valuable when black deadens it with B6. And then on top of that, white's bishop is sort of blocked in by this pawn chain, and black's bishop is better. So this is overall an extremely nice position for Falk. I love this position. You guys are rooting for the Swede. Well, that's fine. Root for everybody. Root for whoever you like. White could go for queen g4 to try and stir something on the king side. White definitely does need to stir something on the king side. That is correct. You got to stir something somewhere, because if you just sit around defending c3, it's a pretty grim game. It is a weird Sicilian Dritman, yeah. So it started with bishop b5 check, which speeds up black's development a little bit. White goes for d4. So then we get a Sicilian defense transposing into a French defense structure, right? Which happens a lot with the French and the Sicilian, that they transpose back and forth. But this move here, knight c3, I think is not best. I think normally people play knight d2 in this position. And that creates this pawn structure that I don't like for white with the c pawn. And the very first move from Falk says, yeah, I'm going to control c4. This pawn's staking around on c3 until I'm ready to capture it. White tries to poke at the king side, which is like a good idea. Sometimes you play a move like queen h5 next here, right? So pawn can't take the knight because of the rook. And then g6, queen h3. The queen has to stay on this file to stop this. This is a way of trying to stir up some trouble. And also just have your queen on the king side, right? Because even if black defends the rook and your knight has to drop back and black goes here and you do bishop development or something. You know, black can't castle because the bishop takes h6. So they have to, like, it's just like an extra thing to juggle. They have to play the game with the king in the center. Anyway. Okay, and queen g4 was played, and Falk bravely castles. Bishop g5 instead of rook c8. But this bishop's good. I don't think we need to try too hard to trade the bishop race to gm. I think the bishop's fine here. Now white is better? No, people. Black is doing great. Rook c8's a perfectly good move. Queen g4, castles is fine. We'll probably see like knight f3 threatening bishop takes h6, and then king h7 should be acceptable. Yeah, I have to judge whether or not it's worth doing the Chess TV thing, so I'm checking Chess TV chat. If anybody on Chess TV is actually watching this show, let us know. So far, I've seen a total of 0 comments in the chess.com TV chat, suggesting probably 0 people watching, actually watching over there. Oh, there's a Dragon Wizard. Hey, Dragon Wizard. Nice, nice, nice. Nargave, you don't count, man. King's Boy. Okay, we got a couple people there. Then it was worth my time. If we can entertain Dragon Wizard and King's Boy, it was worth my time to register us for some chess.com TV time. How do you guys like this French Sicilian position here? I'm surprised some people think that white's position is okay. Knight b3 for a tempo. Ooh, fancy move from Wrath of Gods. That definitely needs to be calculated briefly. You're a big fan? Oh, thanks, Dragon Wizard. Okay, so knight b3 takes, and then here, going for mate. That's the idea. Wow. And what did Wrath of Gods calculate there? g6, bishop takes f8, and white's ahead. Wow. That's pretty impressive. Okay, what can Falk do against knight b3? Oh my goodness. So all of you were right and white's position was good and Falk and I were wrong? Nice one, Daster. Nice one. Why did the farmer win an award? He was outstanding in his field. Beautiful. Go Sweden, says Daster. Go Sweden. And look at that. Sweden has just played knight b3. Trav Kuskin letting Germany have it. For any Germans or Swedes in the audience, is there any kind of a national rivalry between Germany and Sweden? Maybe in, like, I don't know, football or something? This is like when Sweden got 4-4 against Germany in a soccer game. Oh, I guessed it might be soccer, but no, not really. Black might have to play h5 here just to get the queen off of that checkmate threat. Oof. That would be rough. Man, this undefended knight on a5, which looked so amazing, Black's paying for it tactically, right? It says no matter how good this position is strategically of this knight, there's also tactics in chess, which you also have to answer to. When Americans try to make jokes about Sweden, they make you sound German, which is stupid. But really, that's nothing between Germany and Sweden. That's just between everyone in the world and America. Sometimes Americans might seem stupid now and then to people in other countries. Yeah. Ask the same about Norway and Sweden. No, I know there's a Norway-Sweden thing, Halgilda. I don't have to ask that. How would you activate the pieces for Black? Well, we can't think about general ideas like how to activate the pieces here for Black. We have to think like, how do we mitigate the damage? There's a double threat of knight takes knight and bishop takes h6. And that's all we have to think about here for Black at the moment, right? Just some calculation. What do you mean Trafkuskin didn't play knight b3? Oh my goodness, we've got the wrong position this whole time. Yeah, I think that h5 idea might have been one of the better tries for Black, but then there would have been queen g3, h4, queen g4. The queen just kind of dodges out of all of it. Okay, I had one idea for Black if knight b3 came in. Let's try this. h5. So White could win a pawn with queen h5, but it's not crushing. Let's see if White tries to really crush Black with bishop h6. Now I'm going to play f5. Oh, no, it loses. Shoot. The point was here to now play this move, tempoing the queen to save the knight. But after queen takes, pawn takes, the rook's attacked, and we still lose this verdammter Springer here on a5. Okay, so Falk would have probably been in trouble there. 3 minutes from Trafkuskin and plays this move, which could also be threatening. It defends this pawn. Maybe I've overestimated Falk's position. I always play these positions with Black more than with White. And I always overestimate my own position. So that would be consistent, I guess. Oh, man. Wrath of Gods just hanged a queen. F5, can't you just take the knight anyway? Okay, king h8, trying to get out of the way of the storm. Preparing to maybe play rook g8, maybe bishop f8. I overestimate the French in general. The French defense is rough. I played it for a while, Chess for Friends. I played it for a while, and I did decently with it. I always thought I could like eventually win the game on the c-file, you know, if nothing went against me. Oh, we've got the first result in this match. MJ GG77 against Robert Master 7. This game is done. This was our 4 Knights game. Let's see what sort of decided this game. Oh, Black just kept the knight there, cool and collected to catch that pawn whenever it came through, and Black wins the endgame. We've just been studying knight endgames. Now, the only way to try and make trouble for the opponent in a position like this as White is you try to chase the knight around. So basically, let me see if like White had any hope of saving the game if they, if they just go chase the knight. Knight here, you attack it, right? The knight can't go to these squares. Knight here, you attack it. It can't go to these squares. If it comes here, you can queen. Comes here, here. This is how you could still get a draw in this position against the knight. And I will tell you, if the B pawn were not that close to the side of the board, if it were a C pawn, a D pawn, an E pawn, or an F pawn, and for those who don't yet know the chessboard, that's C, D, E, and F pawns, right? Then you would be able to play a move where the knight goes to like off the side of the board here, one file, and it would be too far away from the king. So the king would take 2 steps to go chase it. And black could win. So if this pawn is a rook pawn, by the way, white can actually win because you can trap the knight on a8, take it, step out of the way, and queen. If it's a knight pawn, it's a draw because the knight has to go back and forth like this. And if it's like a C, D, or E, or F pawn, then the knight can win by stepping far enough away from the king. Whichever side the king comes around to, you go sort of like to this spot. And then your king has time to take stuff and queen your E pawn. And eventually they could trade the pawn for the knight and lose it, or they could come back around, like this. See how it takes a while? They come back around to harass you, you go check, and if they come up, then you go to the other side, which isn't available here. Imagine an extra file off the side of the board. That's where the knight could go, and that would be winning. So very instructive. Robert Master could have saved this game by running the king straight at the knight instead of running it straight up to the pawn. So that's how that went. Black got it down to a queen. Robert Master and MJGG77, if you guys have rejoined the stream and are listening, you guys need to wait for this game here between Mr. Disco and Argasen to finish. When this game is finished, your next round will be against them. And you can start your next round whenever they're both ready. You guys are a 4-player unit. You don't care about any of the other players, any of the other boards, any of the other rounds. It's just the next games in this quad are going to be Argasen with white against Robert Master and MJGG70. And sorry, no, it's going to be Mr. Disco with white against MJGG, and it's going to be Robert Master with white against Argasen. So you're waiting for them to be finished, and then you'll play against them. Right now, it looks like Argasen with the Smith-Morra Gambit is maintaining a very, very good position. Won an exchange somewhere here. Let's just check out the tactic. It was queen avoided taking. Yeah, if the queen had taken, the knight takes, and this piece is attacked, and it's the only defender of the bishop. So white would win material there as well. Knight d4 attacking e6. And the rook can't go to f6 because of the bishop. What pressure. So the knight comes here. Check here, here. Oh, but now there's a big mistake from Mr. Disco. This was Mr. Disco's chance, folks, to take the bishop. These rooks can't get away from the knight anyway, so it's a wasted tempo to move one of them. Like in the game, this rook moves and white takes a rook for a knight and then saves the bishop and will go on to win the game most likely. If, on the other hand, Mr. Disco had played knight takes h4, Mr. Disco would have been favored with a small advantage in this endgame. So that's a huge blunder there to really decide the win-loss of this game here. 1 minute on this move, 15 minutes on the clock. This is the critical phase, folks. Even here, when your opponent plays check, you could consider king h8 as well as queen takes queen. This is where you really need to put in the time. 2.5 minutes on this move from Mr. Disco. That was good. Knight e6, rook d8. And maybe if Mr. Disco were playing a 15-minute game, which is what he's used to and most of our viewers are used to, most of our dojoers play a lot of 15-minute tournaments. Maybe if he were used to maybe if it were a 15-minute game, he'd be using the time exactly perfectly. But given that he's got a 30-minute game and still 15 minutes left on the clock, this is a pretty bad mistake to play in this position when you've got knight takes bishop available. That's really rough. He spent a minute on the rook e8 move. Yeah, but I mean that's just like throwing away pieces. So one wants to avoid that. Let's check back in on this game since we'd watched it earlier. Queen g4, castles, rook e3, king h8, rook g3, rook g8. Now black's all safely tucked, right? His king's all tucked into bed by the rook. And black should get to win again on the c-file, like I keep dreaming that black will. That's right. I don't know why. I always thought that you were Serbian, not Swedish. I can't believe I had that wrong about you for so many months. And I apologize for not keeping track of things properly. You may seem Serbian. I don't know what would make you seem Serbian either. I mean, I don't know why. I haven't looked at your country flag. All right, let's check it out. Let's check out your country flag. It looks very Swedish, this flag. Yeah, very Swedish. I don't know what is wrong with me. But in any case, the whole point of this is for me to apologize to you. That's all. You serve me up some good jokes every day. Am I taking students race to GM? Maybe. What's your rating? We've got dogs and squirrels. It's really fun watching the dogs chase the squirrels. It's so like dramatic and exciting, you know. I mean, they've never caught one, obviously, or come close to catching one. There's good trees around for the squirrels to run up. I could just see the dogs like checking in with each other, like, "Oh yeah, I chased that one. Oh yeah, I chased that one." Like, tell me about it. Like, well, it was there, and then like I ran towards it, and it ran away. Oh man, that's exciting. That's exciting. What's next today? Your dog catches squirrels and rabbits. Wow. Woo! Chases bees? 2150. Yikes, that's a high rating. I don't have a student in that rating range right now that I could partner you up with. Oh, yeah. The full tuck-in. Bishop as well, supporting G7 and H6. Falk saying this is a no mating zone, but it's true that I don't really see exactly how to win this position for black, despite my French aspirations. The knight on c4 can't really move. We can't attack c3 enough to hurt white on c3. Maybe this position's not even good for black. Maybe even now it's just not good. Why don't I understand anything about chess? I mean, there are a few positions I understand, but it's like you can play chess your whole lifetime and then just see some normal pawn structure that looks like an advanced French and not know what's going on. Okay, Eri Uzumaki. Your next opponent is... You have white against Basil 19825. So whenever Basil's ready, and Basil did finish their game against Pauly, whenever Basil's ready, you can play that game. You should have white this round. All right? Just hit him with a Rasengan, and you should be good, man. I don't think many of these chess players can survive a Rasengan. Have you ever considered that, instead of just pushing your pawns, to maybe throw in a Rasengan? Does white just start pushing the f-pawn at some point here? Yeah, I'm not sure what white does either. Your opponent's name? You should be able to find it in the spreadsheet area. I did also just like read it out for you. But I do want you guys to work towards self-sufficiency. But there's your opponent, Basil Aw, presenting himself as well. Born in 1982.5, you know. It's a hidden year between 1982 and 1983. And yeah, you guys can start your game whenever you want, basically. Wrath of Gods wants a second rook lift. I wouldn't call that artificial Wrath of Gods. If one rook lift is good, two might be even better. I don't know what White's plan is. Exactly, Pooh Bear. Like platform 9 3/4. That's what I was thinking of, but I didn't remember the number for it. If your challenge doesn't match theirs, then they need to try and challenge you, which is Airy_A1. It is Savage. The tournament's underway. If your game is over, Slow Death, you can see if the other game in your quad is done. Basically, every quad runs as its own little entity. So if the other two players in your quad are done, you guys can start your second round whenever you want. I'll try to watch little bits of different games so you guys can later check the VOD and see what I said about your games. You can also come in and ask questions in between rounds. Seth, we've got a perfect 4 quads, 16 players, which I think is pleasant. So, Robert Master should have white this round against Argasen. And if somebody wants a break, they can always wait till the hour. In theory, like the rounds can go 11 a.m., noon, 1 p.m. If both players are ready and want to play, they can just start their next round when they want to. If somebody wants a little bit of a break, they're entitled to it because the tournament, we said, could be 3 hours. So you've learned to not check the VOD, huh, Sciences? Knight c5 played. Wow. And black did not take it. Presumably they weren't sure what to do about this. Although it's a bit controversial. G6, Queen H3. And now, oh no, because now you have to play Rook G7, and then they've got time to take this as well. Yeah, no, it's not controversial. Black would just lose. So on Knight C5, Black moved the Queen, hoping to have time to play B6. Race to GM threatens Bishop F6 coming from Trav Kuskin. Yikes. White's not giving black time for B6. Trav Kuskin seems to like his position. He seems to be confident about what he's up to here. Should I make little yeah, I'll make little cross tables for them. That's cute. Cross tables are cute. So Airy. Although my real job is to give commentary. But okay, in the first round, Airy had lost, and now Airy's playing Basil. In the first round, Airy played black against Zeno. So 0, and Zeno gets 1. And Basil versus Polly, I think Polly had 1, so Polly gets 1, and Basil gets 0. I made a separate tab for anybody playing in the tournament who wants to check out. I'm making little cross tables for you guys. Robert Master lost the first game, and Mr. Disco lost the first game. Woo! Little cross tablies. How cute. I'm going to take this off and instead put in a cross table. Little room here. Have a nice little cross table. Beautiful. Well, maybe other people won't think it's beautiful, but for me, that's a nice little thing to have. All right, so let's go over here. Put these over. Falk had time to play b6, folks. b6 has been played. What color you should have? So Mr. Disco in round 2 has white against MJGG77. Oh, thank you, Amanda. You have never said anything that wasn't exceptionally positive in our stream. You seem to see the good in everything. Perhaps the first person in history to see the good in my singing. I mean, for me, the good in it is that I enjoy it. I enjoy singing. I don't hear myself. That's part of why my singing's bad, but it's part of why I can enjoy it, because I don't hear it. In a round robin, the one person in your section you don't play is yourself. So I'm filling those in black. What a scary game for Falk. I mean, he did kick the knight, but now it's headed to the king side. There's just like a party over here for white. A full-on party. No, Amanda, the world has enough trolls. You can remain yourself. I have no problem with it. I was just observing it. Yeah, I mean, maybe the rook on a1 is feeling like the not cool kid, right? The rook on a1, like, everybody was at the party except for me. And then, like, the mom is like, are you sure? There was probably somebody not invited. And then the rook sends, like, a snapshot of this area here. It says, like, no, literally every other kid from my white chess team was invited. I was the only one who wasn't there. There are more games, Pox, with higher and lower rated players. Du er best. Does that mean you're the best, Daster? Du er best. I think Neo Chance won in the first round against Jay and Zach. I'm just putting in what I think happened without actually knowing. That's not really like top quality tournament directing. But anyway. Neo Chance confirms their win. But of course, Neo Chance would. A messy French, huh? The other people in your quad somehow managed a messy French as well. You can. Shout out to you for being in chess.com TV chat, which I didn't know if people still used or not. Okay, once I'm done wasting my time on these pretty little cross tables, I will get back to commenting what's happening in these games. We could check out some of the games in the 2100 section. I'm sure they're pretty interesting. And let's see if any of them have finished yet, right? That's another good question. Mitch Fabian, that's still like the first game. And then Rotterdam Girl Drew with May King March. So that scored us 0.5 and 0.5. Oh, we also need a total column. You guys can't see the totals yet, but anyway, there are totals. These cross tables are kind of good enough. It's not like hard to tally 3 games, right? But man, I just love spreadsheets too much. I'm just like sitting here like playing with my spreadsheet instead of commenting, and I can't help it. Equals sum of sorry, folks. Soon I'll be done. Soon I'll be done. I can't keep this up forever. All right. Let's check out this game. Whoa! 2 rooks against a queen. I like the rooks. Pawns are equal. Oh, black could play queen c5 here, though. And then on rook e4, queen check and pick up this. And then that's 2 connected passed pawns. That's not clear at all. Okay, this is an absolute mess. An absolute mess. Queen f6 could be played here. Wow! And that's why these guys are 2,000 instead of 1,000. Now you can just push queenside pawns. Basically, white can never take here because the king and pawn ending's lost for white. So probably c5 or a5 or b4 will be played here. I don't know which. Uh, oh, that's not good. Is it? I don't think that's good. That H-pawn wasn't really going anywhere. Now you've got to come back and defend this. Not a fan. Trafkuskin winning, huh? Let's see it. Let's see it. We followed that game for so long. So knight f4, knight c6, knight h5. I don't know how we would know if he's winning. It's all just complicated here. Falk was trying to threaten knight takes d4 here because of back rank mate. But Falk's really struggling to get anything going in this game. Any counterplay. You know, Trafkuskin's whirling and twirling over here all the time in the world. Do whatever he wants. Salut baguette. Est-ce que t'es fan des Pépitos, toi? As well he should, if only because he happened to be born in the same country as me. Daster, I suddenly realized you're one of the funniest people in the dojo. How did I not pick up on that either for 8 months? Knight takes g7 is supposedly a threat here. Idea is takes, here, checkmate. That's the idea behind knight takes g7. So knight takes g7. If king here, is there any kind of hope? Not really. If knight takes, does rook takes give hope? Let's check that too. Check. Here. Here. Do we dare go for glory with knight f5, or do we just cover up with knight g6 and say, we survived for once? He's a horse driver? Is that still a common job in Sweden, or is that like just an old word? Like maybe 5 centuries ago, someone in his family was a horse driver. Glory to Falk. We've got fans on all sides here. All right, so knight takes, rook takes. That's a bit of a move. Trafkuskin's down to 3 minutes trying to figure this stuff out. Knight g6 should still cover up, right? Like in the other situation. Oh, Mitch pulled out the win with the queen versus the rooks, folks. Let's just see it. Let's just see it because, you know, it's exciting. So he took this pawn, which I thought was ill-advised, but then he got around to pushing his b pawn and pushing his b pawn and pushing his b pawn. And now queen h4 to e1, right? Queen e5. Oh, yeah, if king here, he's got queen here. But I mean, very, very, very clear was queen check, and then queens. And that was the game. Wow, bravo for Mitch. Let me go fill out my cross table, folks. All right, here's my top section cross table. We'll put a point for Mitch in round 1. Next round, Mitch will have white against May King March, I believe. Destiny Dragon here. As always, the queen is better than the 2 rooks. It was the extra 2 connected pass pawns that really helped black out there. I don't know. Why did white play that rook d4 move at this point? Because that was the move that gave black the b pawn by force. It was just a miscalculation by white. They should not have gone for this pawn. Black is up a pawn already. So I would guess that white is just scrambling to draw this game. Yeah, and they've got a weird pawn structure with several weak pawns. This position here is probably slightly better for black already at this point. I would believe that. Ari A's second game is finished against Basel. Let's go mark it. Ari A against Basel. Point for Basel. Ari A, your last opponent will be Pauly 3141. And let me see if Polly's playing. Polly is still playing against Zeno Folkert Sma. So you can play Polly after this game with Folkert Sma comes to an end. But you can check him out and scout him. That's something people do in chess tournaments. When you're between games, you go scout out the people on the other boards. See who you're going to be up against next. I was thinking in horse racing. Yeah, Dastard, that's what I was thinking. But then I did realize it could also be something like a cowboy. Like they say like driving. Like sometimes driving in English is used to mean like herding. Like you can drive cattle, you can drive sheep or lambs. It doesn't mean you're riding them. But I figured you meant drive like riding on them. The scheduled time, Mitch, is in 2.5 minutes. So you can start anytime between now and 2.5 minutes from now. And I believe you have white against May King March, but I also believe that you're an experienced enough chess person that you can figure out the pairings yourself and double check. Like you're seed number 3, white versus seed number 1 in round 2. Anyway, you can double check it. We can dance if we want to. Mais ce ne sont pas des vraies personnes, Super Baguette. Ce ne sont pas des vraies personnes. We don't know how many people are actually watching. We've got thousands of chess.com pages with our stream embedded in it. But yeah, we're never at actually 2,000. Hey, why is chess boring? Lol. You tuned in just in time. Tuned in just in time. Let's see how boring this Trav Kuskin position is. Rook sack on g6. Bishop takes, knight g6, rook takes. Oh man, it's so boring, this chess thing, you know. Knight sack followed by rook sack. If you take here, 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 takes, here, and white's up a bishop in the endgame. There go. That's therefore an ergo. There go, black didn't take the rook, but instead played king h7, hoping to escape the discovered checks by bringing the king here. But won't that be checkmate anyway? Let's see what Trav Kuskin has found with 1 minute left on the clock. Check. King takes this. Check. Here. Oh my lord. Look at the follow-up, folks. Trav Kuskin sacks the rook here. Queen check. Queen check. F-pawn. Queen f6. Now that was a dance, right? There go. Black's chances are nil. Sweden finally gets revenge on Germany for that soccer game in 1933. That 4-4 tie. The Swedes go crazy. They play Norway next round. I don't know. I hope Trav Kuskin's next opponent is from Norway. That was brutal. Falk, I learned something with you that game. Oh, man. But we've got one fan of Trav Kuskin's who's disappointed by this insane, brutal attack. The whole thing is spoiled for Thali because at the end, Trav Kuskin didn't mate with a pawn. Might as well throw the whole game out, right? If he didn't checkmate with a pawn, who cares about all those sacrifices or the fact that David couldn't even understand this position? You thought it was GG for you. Yeah, Falk, it was GG for you for a while, but apparently, I don't know. Apparently that position was better, a lot better for white than I realized. Yeah, Falk, it's been an hour, so round 2 is basically starting now. And this round, Falk should be white against Neo Chance, and Jay and Zach should be white against Trav Kuskin. That's the pairings in quad number 3. I've got a cross table for you guys too. We can put in the point for Trav Kuskin. And we can put in the 0 for Falk, although it doesn't change the total, whether or not we put it in. I don't know if you guys can see the proper cross table for this event, but Trav Kuskin gets a point here and plays next with black against JN Zach. And Neo Chance should now have black against Falk. Okay, what have we here? 95, 94. The Knight C3 variation of the Petrov, very, very popular at Grandmaster level. White always castles queenside at Grandmaster level, but here we see White playing something different, right, with H3 and Bishop D3. But normally the approach from White in this opening is Bishop E3, Queen D2, castles queenside quickly. At least in the GM games I've seen, that's the way it goes. It's always a tough call between chatting and playing. Playing is so solitary. Chatting so social. Defying all stereotypes, we chess players like both. We like socializing and we like playing chess alone in our minds. Leaf going all in on the points here. Putting a lot of points on who? VSD? There's 33,000 points on VSD here. Oh, Pleefers only has 4,000. Pleefers is the one person betting for good odds, 8-1. What's up with the pairing? What are the groups? This is the highest pairing. This is the top group with players rated between 1900 and 2100. There isn't actually a 600 ELO difference. Rotterdam Girl is rated 1900 in national ratings and like 2100 or something on Lichess. So Rotterdam Girl just has a chess.com rating that's not accurate, so I put her in the proper section. Yeah. So she is a small, she, he, or they. I don't actually know if Rotterdam Girl's a girl, but Rotterdam Girl is a small underdog, but only a small one here. And since a lot of you guys hang out in the dojo channel, I'll give you a little tip. In general, if something ever happens and you think I made a mistake, you should double check because that doesn't really happen very often. So, yeah. The tip is, anytime you think I've got something wrong, check again. All right. All right, guys, let's see the huge 4,000 versus 30,000 upset. Let's fill Pleef with points. Pleef, who is perhaps one of our worst gamblers in all of the dojo, right, Pleef? Is that fair to say? A 100% accurate. Yeah. You're always in chat, and you've got like the least number of points of Dojo Gold of anyone who's in chat as often as you. Now, folks, I've never gambled Dojo Gold, so I don't know how this really works, but I hear this has become like a big thing, so I'd like to understand it. I think it's something that happens more with like Jesse and Kostya streams. So I'd like to understand how it works. There's time ticking down on this prediction, right? Can you wait till there's 2 seconds left in the prediction to make your prediction? Do you lose anything by waiting to see as many moves as possible before you're making your prediction? Is there any advantage to betting at the start of the game? Because like some people bet on move 1, right? It was like E4, E5. I'm moving in on like VSD. But in theory, you could wait till move like 20 and then put your money. Wow. People think waiting is dirty. I see. Now, I imagine the people creating the prediction can set like a time frame on the prediction, right? Like if it's a 3-minute game, you don't want it to be a 10-minute prediction. You could make the prediction last 1 minute or 10 minutes or whatever. PV Corporeal is a dirty waiter and probably has more than 10,000 Dojo Gold. More honest to bet as soon as possible. Gotcha. It would be better if the bets had a really short time cap then, right, Drit? That would be an improvement because then people really wouldn't know what they were betting on just yet. The mods cancel and refund if the prediction is still running and someone's already up like a piece or a rook. That's good. That's fair of the mods. And we've got 64,000 in the pot right now. I know it's actually 65,697. I'm just saying 6,400 because 64 is the big chess number. Or I'm saying 64,000 because 64 is the big chess number of squares. But I see post. So by betting, you can encourage other people to bet or not bet. This is a pretty dry position that we're staring at. I guess you guys put all your money on it. If you hadn't, I would definitely want to switch to another board that wasn't just like rooks trading on an open file, you know? We can just come back when the bet looks like it's closing. All right, somebody who's got a lot of gold on this position, check in with us later, okay? Like, warn us if something interesting's happening. Meanwhile, we're going to go look at some other games as well. So, how about like Mitch versus May King March? How's this one? Oh, yeah, you can definitely ask a question, MT Peb. I'll go right back for a second. All right, what's the final total here as the time to predict rolls out? Still looking pretty equal as far as betting. I mean, at least nobody hung like a rook and ruined the prediction yet. Gotcha, MTPEB. So A and B pawns and a pawn storm. There's not like a time limit on it. It's just not a super useful plan. I mean, I don't really see a useful plan MTPEB, so it's not like there's a better plan, but I would just sort of sit here, trade all the rooks on the E file, and agree to a draw. All right, predictions are in. Why is White spending so much time deciding? She's got the time on the clock, so she might as well. So we had a lot of smart money come in the last 10 seconds there. Oh, I remember that, Sebas. You're the one I told about, like, setting up potentially like a plan for yourself of how to use the time. Showed you my spreadsheets. And then you tried slowing down to see if changing time control would work better for you as well, right? Which was the other suggestion. So very happy to hear that. Very happy. We're playing 30-minute chess right now, which is very rare on our channel. Well, it's the first time. So that makes it super rare. We run a lot of Game 15 tournaments. We've started running more and more classical tournaments as well. We run an occasional Blitz tournament. You mouse slipped a repetition draw. Wow, that's a pretty weird way for a game to end. That is a pretty weird way for a game to end in a mouse slipped draw by repetition. Robert Master 7 and Argasin have drawn. .5 each. MJGG versus Mr. Disco. How's the other game going in your section? Let's see. Ooh, it's an end game. Ooh, with equal pieces. That should be interesting. Let's see. The white king can get to e4, but that does allow the bishop to attack this pawn from behind. If this pawn were on a light square instead of a dark square, this wouldn't be a problem. And you could get your king into great position, which would be a small advantage for white. But here, this pawn being on a dark square means that as black comes up, white comes up, black can go bishop e1, then a3, bishop c3, and then just like go to b2 and win. So this is tricky. Would I have taken with the c pawn or the queen? I would have probably straightened out my pawn structure, Nordovik, yeah. In the last game, Basil, let's see. You are seed number 2. You have white against Zeno Folkertsma, Basil. And also in your section, Ari has white against Polly. Wait, which round are you in? Are you in round 2 or 3? I think... Let me double check. Ari and Basil. Ari and Basil. Polly and Zeno Folkertsma. So I just don't know what happened between Zeno Folkertsma and Polly. I missed that game, but I guess it must have been done without me seeing it. I'm just going to go track that result down real quick. Sorry, folks. Just TDing for a second. Polly won against Basil and lost against Zeno. So Polly won against Basil and lost against Zeno. And that means Zeno has 2 points going to the last round. You guys losing your mind about the boring position. Queen d3, king g8. Queen f5 is possible here. Oh yeah, it is. That's a pretty exciting move. That is a pretty exciting move. That must be what she was thinking so long about with like pawn takes or queen takes. Queen takes, attacking this spot. I suppose black should have traded before playing king to g8 because this move looks like significantly annoying. Wait, did something happen? Traded on f6. Oh. No, King Marcher, you're welcome to draw all your games as boring as you like. No, that's totally cool. But you shouldn't be listening to my commentary right now. I may check in on your game in a moment. Wow, too bad there was no queen f5, huh? This does still seem to give white an advantage, and somebody suggested the maneuver of knight h4 to f5, which I think looks like a darn good maneuver. Excellent, Sebas. All right, Arian Polly. Arian Polly. What a matchup. Ari is British and Polly is Finnish. Their names and their countries rhyme, right? Ari, Polly, Finnish, British. Do I have a file with an opening repertoire? No, Wrath of Gods. It's been a long time since I did like serious opening prep, and some would say I've never really done serious opening prep. Do I have mental notes? Yeah, I mean, I remember some chess openings in my head just because I've spent a lot of time playing chess. But, well, it looks like Trav Kuskin won the second game again with a checkmate. What happened to the endgame wizard? Setting up just one checkmating attack after the next. Jeez. Look at this. White can't take on e4. It's attacked 3 times because Trav Kuskin had this planned. Jesus. They used to say, like, what's gotten into his water when somebody would, like, play super, super violently. Bishop f5 takes, bishop takes, pawn. Oh, no. Oh, Trav Kuskin strikes again. 2 games, 2 rook sacks. We should just watch Trav Kuskin today. That's crazy. So Trav Kuskin's going to go into the last round with 2 points. In this position here, I mean, white needs to play rook g2 in advance to defend this. The position's a little bit unpleasant for white because black can like triple heavy pieces on the f-file and then push an h-pawn down the board. There are some plans for black here. Okay, on the game that everybody's points are on the line, bishop f6, gf6, rook e4 was played here, not knight h4 to f5. Knight h4 to f5 would have been strong. I gotta think. But okay, rook e4. Maybe black could try and trade the knight off with knight e5. I feel like with this bad pawn structure around your king, knights are particularly dangerous, especially knights that can get to f5. So maybe knight e5 to take knight off the board would be an important move for black right here. All right, and this game here, let's just see where they're at. Pretty solid for the moment. Pretty solid position. No big advantage for either player yet. Black's got a nice solid center. Pawns on dark squares, bishop on light squares. White is the one who potentially has an outside pass pawn. Outside pass pawns are not super important in endgames with bishops and queens because they're long-range pieces. Every endgame has kings on the board, so outside pass pawns always matter at least like a little bit, but not overwhelmingly much. So this position's pretty solid for the moment. How's Falk doing against Neo Chance? That looks complicated. Bishop just came to c6. Why did Falk play e5 here? Oh, because of this knight hanging. I was thinking, like, doesn't he just want to take this? Looks like Neo Chance is just, like, striking with the initiative just barely in time before falling apart. So, hits the knight here. White saves that piece, looks for knight d5, bishop c6, stops knight d5 and threatens the rook, rook h3. Defending the queen, so in some case the knight could now move. This game is what exciting games look like to me. VSD's fine. VSD has like more than 16 minutes. That's reasonable. Knight f4 suggestion. It's possible, yeah. This is fine too. Attacking these squares. I believe in Black's ability to defend this position. Yeah. I do believe that Black's bishops are strong enough, that their counter threats against White's pieces are strong enough that Black should be able to defend. Even though White's so close to getting the rooks involved and Black isn't, I still believe in Black. You know, after d5, fe5, maybe Black will play rook d8 or something like that, you know, trading towards the endgame. But then White can play knight c6, queen e3, rook e3, pawn takes c6, bishop takes h5. It's sharp. It's sharp. Whoa, Ari and Polly already finished. I guess so, Uzumaki. I guess you can resign. Let me see how you were doing. Still pretty interesting. Still pretty interesting. All right. Congrats on completing a tournament. Okay, MT Peb wants to put a bet on this game since the prediction's already tied up in the VSD versus Rotterdam girl game. MT Peb likes White here. That was the last round, Ari Uzumaki. You've played everyone else, or Ari Uzumaki. You've played everyone else in your section now. Polly, Basil, and Zeno Folkertsma. So you've completed a 3-round tournament. Yeah, that's what a quad's like. I hope you enjoyed it. Wow, Falk is thinking here. It doesn't seem like he's got a lot of choices other than trading, but maybe he's got more than I realize. And finally the recapture comes in, almost 3 minutes on that move. So I wonder what other options he was looking at, or if Falk was just trying to look ahead at what was likely to be coming a little bit down the road here. Yeah, we can check in on Rotterdam Girl game. I know you guys got your money tied up there. VSD looking for the end game, down 1 pawn, right? F5 was played here. Check here, eat it. I really thought knight e5 would probably be the right move, but 6 minutes, we're going to have to trust VSD that there was some problem with knight e5. Goes for this position here. I would give Carlsen a 90% chance of winning this endgame for white. In other words, this is seriously unpleasant for black at this point. Maybe the move queen b5 is secretly strong. I know it's like weird. Like you could either trade queens because you're up a pawn, you've got knight endgames where you've got good winning chances, or you could keep your queen on the board and keep it near the king because his pawn structure is split, or go to h5 if you want to bring the knight. But queen b5 hitting b7, isn't that awkward for black? Isn't that like a bit of a problem? Queen b5, some real strength in that move, I think. That was just me clicking, guys. Sorry. White has not played that. Yeah. Coder Future pointing out correctly that if this pawn were defended like this, then queen g5 would win the knight. So it would be quite painful. Okay, check is played. I didn't think this move accomplished much. I mean, honestly, to me, it like improves the black king to get them off of this check. So I prefer to save this energy of having this check, you know, to play a move like queen b5 and my opponent can't play knight d8. That's saving the energy. Anyone from my 14 to 1600 group class about burning energy versus building up energy. This is like an example of like queen g5 kind of burns it, whereas queen b5, you're building it up and you only use it, you only release that energy and use it when it, you know, comes crackling into a full tactic. What chances do I give Rotterdam Girl in this position? Probably like a 30% chance of a win and a 60% chance of a draw and a 10% chance of a loss, something like that. White is slightly favored here with the extra pawn. If white trades queens, it's going to be pretty hard for white to lose, but there's a lot of scenarios where the game could be a draw. Maybe a 40% chance of winning for white, with like a high percentage of draws. So we'll see. All right, keeping the queen. And you guys see my point about how this is like probably winning at the highest level. I mean, Magnus would have played queen b5, I think. I think that's the right move. Or something even better if there's something even better, you know. But queen b5 put a lot more pressure than this. No, King Marcher, if you don't play your last game, you cannot play in our future tournaments. You will be in perpetuity withdrawn from Chess Dojo run events. Because if you don't play your third game, VSD 328 will have nobody to play. They'll be stuck here waiting for a third round opponent. That's not acceptable. I don't put my foot down about many things, but I try to be clear, and this was very clear. That's part of chess tournaments, King Marcher. Sometimes we play when we're in good condition. Sometimes we play when we're in bad condition. It's just how it is. There's no excuse for withdrawing. So if you play in bad mental shape, maybe you lose, maybe you get better at playing when you're in bad mental shape. That's one of the things chess trains us for, to bring out our focus and our top level performance, whether we're doing well or badly. That's one of the greatest things I learned from chess tournaments, how to always go straight into flow and straight into full effort without regard for whether the odds are in my favor or against me. In any activity, not just in chess, obviously. It's a really, really good thing to learn. Excellent, King Marcher. We are watching the game of your opponents right here. So you could probably take a short break if you want. You could try and rest up. You could try to refocus. You could scout them. You could watch their game. Whatever helps get you into the top possibility for the next round. You're going to have an advantage, potentially, that these guys will be even more tired, you know? I mean, depending how you see it, but I mean, you know, these two players might get very exhausted from this game. Often, so, and here's an interesting thing about tournaments, right? People are often like extremely fatigued by the last round, and you get a lot of people in normal Swiss tournaments withdrawing in the last round. But in round robins, people never withdraw. They just can't. Like, you'll never see like an IM norm or a GM norm round robin tournament where the player just doesn't show up for a round. FIA used to cancel the whole tournament, like, basically as far as like norms are concerned, right? So like, even if I weren't the one whose opponent withdrew, if I played 9 games against other players, but one player in the tournament withdrew, they wouldn't count like the norm for me because somebody like withdrew from the tournament. But anyway, in Swiss tournaments, you'll often see people really, really tired in the last round. But an interesting thing is that their opponents are also tired, right? So like, you're in like bad shape, but your opponent's also in bad shape, right? It's like two people are just like exhausted, like maybe like thinking about going home and other things like that. And they just, you know, you see who can like bring something else out still in that tough spot. I don't know, Flachspieler. I basically never heard of it. I mean, like, the chess players are just kind of like sitting in a hotel and playing like 9 games in a row. I don't remember anyone ever having like an accident during a norm tournament. Wrath of Gods, I think that withdrawing in general creates potential psychological weakness. So I never withdrew because I feel like once you have a reason for withdrawing, then like it becomes easier and easier to always make up reasons for yourself to withdraw. It's kind of like draw offering. I feel like there's like so many ways in chess that like we can create these psychological weaknesses in ourselves. And then once they're in us, they become they spread and they grow and we can't root them out, right? The longer they live in us, right? So like offering draws, you know, worrying about like your rating, your opponent's rating, like there's like 1,000 different like chess related psychological diseases or weaknesses that we can have, right? And I try to have basically a zero tolerance for all of those things for myself, because in my experience, if you let those things like live in you, like you can't get them out later. That said, a lot of professional chess players when I was growing up had economic reasons for whatever they were doing, right? So for example, they were like GMs, they're playing a tournament, they need the money for their livelihood, right? So they're at the tournament to get first or second place, and that's it. You know, these are smaller tournaments. These are tournaments with only like $500 at stake on like a weekend, right? And, you know, third or fourth prize is like $50 or something. It's not worth it for them to keep playing for that $50. If they lose an early round, they need to like go and like teach some chess lessons. They can't waste any more time playing a chess tournament where they're not getting paid, right? You could think of it as like any job. Like imagine you're working a job and then like on Tuesday, for some reason, they tell you you're not going to be paid for anything you do Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday this week. You don't have to come into work Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. You can, but we're not paying you for those 3 days. Can you imagine why somebody would withdraw for 3 days, right? And be like, no, I'll be back next week for the next like project. Am I cool with it? I'm not exactly cool with it. I wouldn't like be mean or harsh to them about it. But I would definitely give them basically the same kind of advice you're hearing from me, Wrath of God. So whether you feel like my advice just now was like coming strongly against, or just providing the best advice and counsel that I can, this is basically how I would talk to my student about the same thing. I'd be like, look, you can do what you want to do and what you need to do. In my experience, once somebody has one of these weaknesses, it grows and grows and grows. And I can tell you like which players are going to withdraw. Like I would go to a tournament, I'd be like, these players are going to withdraw. Because I just know like once somebody withdraws, they withdraw and withdraw and withdraw. So white still with that extra pawn and deciding now to expand on the king side with the pawn structure, or is it just to deny one outpost for this knight? I don't know with any certainty right now. Knight f3 wins a queen. Yeah, almost. Yeah, that's about how I put it with my students. So. That's right, Tim Westland. Dingley Wren broke a leg on the rest day, right? During one of these huge things. That's right. I heard of that. And what happened? I think he did withdraw, which is like, I mean, I guess a minute ago I said I could never think of an example. Now I'm going to say that's the one example I can think of. What's the status of Mr. Disco? Let me see. Observe Mr. Disco 99. I don't think he's currently playing. I don't know what happened with their last game. I have students who struggled with this and now are over it. Withdrawing as an issue? I mean, I would say, you know, I mean, I'm not going to like go back and think of like every private student I had 15 years ago. But I would say like in the dojo, there was a point where I saw that there was a really, really high percentage of withdrawals from our Swiss tournaments. And of course, all our tournaments that are Swiss systems are designed for people to play however many games they want to, right? If we run an 8-round tournament and you want to play the first 2 games or the last 2 games or 3 games in the middle, like whatever. It's just designed for everyone to take it however they want to and make it their own thing, right? So it's definitely how the dojo tournaments are designed to be. But I did like at one point like look at some tournaments and see that we had like 50% of people dropping out, and it was like primarily people who had like, you know, lost 1 or 2 games, and they were withdrawing after like 1 or 2 rounds of an 8-round tournament. And I was like, did you really come into this tournament planning to play 1 or 2 games, or did you come in planning to like achieve some kind of competitive goal, lost a game, and then withdrew because you were like hurt by the setback, right? So I did talk about withdrawing once on the dojo in maybe January, February, somewhere around then. It must have been in February. And I said, look, I recommend that you go into these tournaments with like a plan for how many rounds you want to play. Like you may not have the time to play the 4-round tournament, but you've got a plan in mind. I want to play 2 games. If your plan is to play 2 games and you play the first game and are disappointed, you should follow through and play the second game anyway. In other words, you shouldn't withdraw from whatever plan you have for yourself of how you're trying to practice and study and perform. Okay? Oh, the Mr. Disco MJGG game is actually finished. That's what happened with it. Black won this endgame, and it's instructive, so let's have a quick look at it, even though I'm mid-story. So white put the knight in the center. Black missed a chance to play. No, black didn't have a chance to play king d5 because b5 was attacked. So white gets the king in the center. Plays knight f3 to stop bishop e1. The bishop's going to maneuver. Keeps the king out of g5. And now the black king can move up. Get into the queen side. Black seems to be coming out with the advantage here. Bishop e7 to stop knight f8. Very precise. Knight c7 going after a6. Good try. And then what happened? Bishop d6 wins. So white resigned here. Yeah, bishop d6 wins for black, but I mean, as white, you should always wait for your opponent to find this before resigning. Yeah, I know Amanda like came in and played one round in a Mega Rapid, and she said, I'm going to play one round. I'm going to make that one game Mega. Right? And she went for it in that game, and that's totally fine. And I'm not here to like judge any of you. I just said within yourselves, to yourselves, you all should have a plan. I'm here to play one game. I'm here to play 4 games or whatever. And if that's your plan, don't let a negative experience in one of your games, don't let tilt or disappointment or rating points or anything like that keep you from playing the games that you want to play and that you've blocked time out for in your schedule. Like right now, I don't have space in my schedule to play chess tournaments like I might like to, right? So hang on. So I just, if you let losses spoil the joy of playing, if you then don't enjoy your game because you lost, or if you withdraw from things because you lost, I think that's like a weakness, and you let it fester in you. You like, if the problem is that you're too results oriented, you let that like grow. If the problem is that you're like too easily pessimistic, you let that grow, So all of that stuff, I don't want people to suffer with that, right? So when I did my little spiel in February about like, hey, think about how much you want to play and whether or not you're really withdrawing for good or bad reasons. It wasn't to put pressure on people or to say, hey, we want everyone playing all the rounds. I don't care how many rounds people play as like a number, right? But I don't want people to develop an unhealthy relationship to chess where it's about like, where like they're in love with winning, not with chess. And when they don't win, like bad stuff starts happening to them. I just don't want everybody suffering, and it's very easy. It's very easy to develop, in my experience, these kind of like chess-related psychological diseases, of which there are many, or weaknesses, Chess is so easily tied to the ego that I think these things flourish, and I don't want everybody suffering. So that was all it was. I was trying to tell people about that. Oh, and the question was, have any of my students gotten over it? And I would say the reason I brought up this whole story is a couple dojo people told me in like March that they had taken that to heart and they were playing out their events, even when they were on tilt or even when they were like losing. And that had been a reason that they were withdrawing. And now they tell themselves what they're intending to play and they go through the whole thing, So I think some people have, and in a certain way, they're not like necessarily my private students, but these are people who I'm, giving chess advice to on a regular basis. And I think for some of them it has worked or been helpful or whatever. King Marcher, Mr. VSD 328 is right here, still defending a pawn down against Rotterdam Girl. Getting nice and tired for you. Falk had another exhausting and fun game. Falk came through and won the game. Somebody wanted to bet on you and they would have been right. And oh my gosh, it finishes with a crazy checkmate. We got to see this, folks. We've got to see this. So I was betting against Falk this game. I thought it did not look good. Well, not that it didn't look good. I thought black had sufficient resources here. I felt like black could make things work. I was expecting rook d8 now, but something else was played. King h7, bishop h5. Maybe black's playing a little bit too fast here for a 30-minute game. 21.5 minutes on the clock. 30 seconds to play this choice. Oh, right. I did consider this move for black. The idea is to play bishop h6 and win the queen. Takes here. Rook g5 takes. Very complicated situation. In this position, white can play rook takes h5 because the bishop can't take the queen. But black can defend the bishop sideways with any bishop move. So I don't know if rook h5 is good or not, but it was a move here. MT Peb, that was who wanted to bet on Falk. Check here. And then just king steps over. So here, Neo Chance is winning a rook for a bishop. But it's at the cost of opening this up. Now I'm not sure if I'm confident, actually. Now I'm not sure I'm confident for black that there is enough counterplay to keep white off of the black king. Rook g8. Because rook h5, king g7, queen h7, mate is threatened. So there's like limited moves from black here. Queen f5, huh? Queen d4, that allows checkmate. So is this where you miscalculated, Neo Chance? You didn't see that checkmate was coming in here. You are allowed to resign, Robert Master, yes. In your own games, you can play or resign as you like. Let's see how you're doing. I mean, I'm not going to tell you how you're doing. I'm just looking at the game. I see you have a position with pieces and some time on the clock. Very interesting. You missed the rook h7 angle, yeah. Do you have a defense here, though? Because I'm not sure if you have a defense. Maybe rook g6 to give your king a place to hide. But the problem is on rook g6, queen f7. That still looks rough. The fatigue is kicking in. All right, Robert. Good fighting. Good fighting playing a 3-round tournament. This may be one of the first tournaments you've played of this type, Robert. You're rated 800 in a section with players rated 1100. So you're playing up 300 points every round. But it looks like you managed at least one draw in round 2. It's a great experience. A lot of people like playing higher rated players. MJGG Twitch, who should you be playing? MJGG Twitch. Your last round opponent is Mr. Disco, who's still playing their second round game, I guess. Oh no, Mr. Disco and MJGG were supposed to play against each other in round 2. And MJGG is supposed to play Argasin in the last round. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm glad that I Am Slow Death, a.k.a. Argasin, has figured out the pairing system. As my attention is split between many things here at once. Rotterdam Girl is trying to grab a second extra pawn here. The second pawn is the one that like pushes a game over the edge if you can get it safely. That looks pretty safe. That looks like a pretty safe second pawn grab, and 9 minutes against 1 tells the story of black is feeling under pressure and putting more effort into the moves here than white, I think. A defense was suggested here of bishop f3 to bring the queen over, but if white wins a bishop, white's just winning the game on material. So that doesn't count as like a real defense. What about the king comes up, and then if rook here, you play rook h8 to cover that side? That looks more like a real defense. So if the king comes up, then I think an important move for Falk to consider would be something like this. Trying to crack the structure around the king with e6 or g6 is like kind of like the big question here. I think e6 looks pretty good. threatening queen f7. That's enough of a threat that black doesn't have time to take the knight. Even though the queen can come back, it's still check here, mate. So I know you guys want to see like the live game with Rotterdam Girl. I'll go there in a second. This was just a fantastic, exciting game. I think there's a chance that Falk was just winning here. Although king g7, e6 is very hard to calculate, like with confidence. Okay, let's go to this game, though, as it's exciting. Okay, black got a pawn back. Okay, so it's not... Black gets a pawn back. White, I think I was expecting white to take on d6 here, but white goes for something else. Oh, wait. If king e7, knight d5 is game over. So black's got to choose between king g8 and the bad-looking queen g7. Goes for queen g7. Queen d6. White could try to take the knight as long as this doesn't make a perpetual. As long as the king can get out. And it can. It can. I don't know if white's going to be confident in that. White has 7 minutes, so white could calculate it a bit. But it is safe to take that knight. If white doesn't feel safe to take the knight, white might consider the move f6 or knight e8. Okay, knight e8 comes in. Please, didn't you put your money on Rotterdam Girl? Rotterdam Girl has every chance of winning this game still. I mean, didn't put the game away with queen takes knight, but still has a chance. Oh, your money's on VSD. VSD is not likely to win this game. Everybody's rooting for a draw and a refund. A draw is still significantly likely. It's a messy endgame with queens on the board. You get a lot of perpetual checks. That doesn't create a repetition, Thali, because when you check here, the queen can come down and block. So it's not like guaranteed to be a repetition. The queen could even like block here. Maybe, it depends. So it's not guaranteed. I mean, you have to calculate some stuff. Whoa, game over. Queen defended the knight. And Rotterdam Girl takes it, takes it, takes it. Oh, the upset. Oh, the Dojo Gold. Oh. Folks, if you want to figure out how to bet on games, just ask Pleef what Pleef is betting on, then bet on the other side of any prediction bet. That is so far an unstoppable voting system. 100,000 in Dojo Gold getting distributed out. That was a big upset period. I mean, Rotterdam Girl was like 150 points for sure lower rated. So it was a solid upset for sure. You guys want to bet on Rotterdam Girl versus Mitch? Mitch Fabian. Pleefers is sitting on the remaining 300 Dojo Gold that they earned while watching and chatting on that game. And VSD 328, King Marcher, you can definitely agree with VSD not to play the game if they don't want to play. But you can imagine that VSD may be just as tired as you are at this point, and it may be very interesting for you all to try a tired battle against each other. Wait, I trolled you? I trolled you with the 1400 rating? No. I was very clear that they were in the right section. You trolled yourselves. See the above point on if you think David paired the tournament wrong. You're probably missing something. A savage move by Rotter? Okay. Exactly, PB Corporeal. You played yourself. All right, let's check some of these other ones. Let's open up some of these round 3 games. Let's see what people have left in the tank in the final round, right? We should have a game between Argosin and MJG here. Nice, right out in the opening. Who else should be playing right now? Trav Kuskin. Let's see if we can see Trav Kuskin's game. That will be fun. See Trav Kuskin in round 3 against Neo Chance. Well, Trav Kuskin's not going to sack a rook for checkmate this game, right? This is a technical game like we were hoping for. I'm sorry, Pleef. Is it possible to transfer Dojo Gold between players, by the way? Duff Deep Blue. This is a painting that my mother made of what a chess dream might look like. Having had me describe my chess dreams to her many times. And also, welcome if you're newish. Yeah, Thali, I am interested in that. In that position, after Queen e4 check, Queen f3, Queen c2, White might have the maneuver of King g1, Queen check on the first rank, King h2, Queen back to c2 check or d2 check, and then Queen from f3 to g2, blocking the King on the second rank, keeping the Knight defended on the diagonal, and then keeping the g3 and h3 pawns as like a shelter around the King. It should still be a win for White, I think, but yeah, I mean, we don't have the position on the board anymore. Falk wants to know colors in round 3. Falk, you are number 4 in your quad, so you have White versus number 3. White against Jay and Zach. Okay, thank you, Sophie. That's very useful to know. Do you want to tell me, like, section or... we can try and pass that information on to the TD for that section to not pair them. There were a few, but some of them already got taken out of the pairing sheets. Like they registered in the registration, but got taken out of the pairings. You thought the painting was Jesse Drews' grind? No problem. Yeah, no rush, Sophie. We'll be happy to take care of that. What just happened here? Oh, White played e6 and traded f for e pawns. And White also traded the dark squared bishops, which is good for White because White's bishop wasn't that good. And White's rooks and knight are all active, so this position's pretty interesting at the moment. Oh yeah, Thali, because Black's taken enough pawns by that point. Right? Yeah, because White had only taken like 2 pawns. They hadn't won a piece. Yeah. Good point. I don't know if I still have the game up to check on it at all, but okay, here's Falk against Jay and Zach. Here's Trav Kuskin against Neo Chance Rotterdam Girl against Mitch Fabian. Bishops on f6. This is a nice opening. Prep by Rotterdam Girl. Based on the time on the clock, might be familiar with this position. Mitch, famous for good opening knowledge, but I mean, if you've got good opening knowledge, well, Mitch has been studying for like an actuarial test for like months rather than cramming Chessable. So I think even if you've crammed Chessable a year ago, we're going to see now what you remember a year later. It looks like Mitch is having to check what is or is not properly drilled into his brain. Why is there not an admin helping with results? I don't know, Wrath of Gods. We're still working out our stream, but volunteers are starting to get involved and help with running some of the tournaments. Trying to make my life easier. We've got some good people coming in. It's also a matter of me figuring out how to deploy people and like get their help, you know? Like when I want to run a tournament, sometimes it's faster for me to just run it than for me to explain to someone else how to run it for me. So Goomba, yeah, you would have to link your Prime. You would have to link your Twitch to your Amazon Prime, and then you would have Twitch Prime. And once you have Twitch Prime, you can click on the normal place where one subscribes to a channel to subscribe with Prime instead, I think. If that makes sense. I know, Wrath of Gods. You're right. You're right. And we've got and I have got like 10 people who now know how to like hand pair Swiss tournaments and run our events for us. If you've checked out the May Classical like spreadsheet, like they're running this whole operation basically at this point. They know what they're doing. You know, they're pairing people, they're messaging people who don't show up for their games. So that's nice. Délicieux. Délicieux. Ah, je ferme les yeux et je suis à Paris. A pépito baguette, like I asked you about, a pépito. Ah, trop bien. Mais c'est fini maintenant, c'est fini. All right, I'm back. I'm back in the US/internet. All right, what's the prediction on this? Mitch Fabian, 25,000. Only 3,000 on Rotterdam Girl after Rotterdam's amazing upset last round. That is very few. The VSD game is already finished? Whoa, okay. Okay, you guys probably can't see the H file. All right, I'll just grab it and move it into live chess. Okay, bishop b5 Sicilian. White pushes c3 d4. White has the opportunity to play one of these moves, but black seems to have defenses so far. e5, knight d5, d5, knight e5. Here. 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 All right, now the knight's preventing knight d5, so this knight gets sent somewhere bad. So this is strong for white. And now white wins a piece just by kicking that knight out of the center. This is why black resigned. Takes here, here. Instructive. Whoa! Falks. No, wait. Another game just finished. Rotterdam Girl against Mitch Fabian. It's over. It is over, folks. Jeez. Bishop f6. Bishop d6 takes. Just the end of the world. And the top quad had the shortest games in the last round here. Mitch Fabian loses to Rotterdam Girl. Rotterdam Girl wins and wins and wins the quad. Congratulations, Rotterdam Girl. Fought for 6 minutes and hung the queen, yeah. Ouchie, ouchie. Prediction is Rotterdam Girl. 50,000 gold. Oh, in the end, a lot of people did bet on Rotterdam Girl, so it was kind of 50-50 on the betting. Wow. All right, we got an end game. We got Jan Zach. Big congratulations to Rotterdam Girl in this tournament. Welcome to the dojo, yar. We're happy to have you sticking around with us for another month. All right, so Falk and Trav Kuskin, I still see them playing. Basil, did your third game end with Zeno Folkertsma? Basil won. So you forced a tie for first place between Basil and Zeno Folkertsma. That must have been exciting. Let's look at your game. I've got until 2 p.m. before Kostya takes over, so we'll have time to look at 1 or 2 games from the tournament, I think, before I scram out of the way. So that's going to be exciting. What the heck is this prediction? That makes no sense. Something about pink and blue. Do not understand. I definitely do not understand that. Oh, people donate points to other people. That stuff doesn't mean anything, Duff. The accuracy is basically a randomly generated number, from my experience. I understand now, Elfins. I understand now. All right, let's go to a game that's in progress. This one has just ended in a draw. Solid game between Neo Chance and Trav Kuskin. So Neo Chance versus Trav Kuskin. 0.5. 0.5. So Trav Kuskin wins the second quad with 2.5 out of 3. Very nice. And let me check on MJGG7. MJGG7 won against Mr. Disco. Okay. So MJGG77 is half a point ahead of Argasin in this matchup. Argasin would need to win this quad. MJGG77 could draw to win this quad. A best move prize? Yeah, Wrath of Gods, with a little bit more support, somebody clipping games for me and stuff, maybe like 3 copies of me. I could do a lot more of these like best game and best move kind of prizes. I love doing them. But it's tough to keep track of everything I want to do. So anyway, let me give you guys a poll for those of you who played in the tournament. Just give me some feedback on whether we should run some more tournaments of this kind of format versus just continuing with the normal formats that we've used more before, like the game 15-minute kind of tournaments. You want the next one to be 1 hour later, Chess Latte? Wow, you're not the only person. Someone else also asked for it to be just exactly 1 hour later. I hope Canis wants to see Chess Latte playing. Wow. You got some fans, Chess Latte. I hope that doesn't drive you crazy at such a young age. It's a lot to deal with. Secret society? Why haven't I heard about a secret society? It's a little bit hard by get because we've got people in, 20 different time zones. And but I mean, overall it's worth it. I mean, people are very polite about what they prefer, Like, I have a lot of experience in the past. Like, people would come in and be like, why would you run a tournament at 7 p.m.? That's the stupidest time ever. If you guys just knew what you were doing and ran the tournament at 5 p.m., you'd have lots of people could play. And normally here in the dojo, people don't come at me with that kind of like attitude. They just say like, yeah, it didn't work for me. An hour sooner would have been better, or an hour later would have been better, and whatever. I tabulated, and that's useful feedback for me. That way it's useful. Yeah. That's definitely how we'll keep running that kind of a tournament, Freddie. And the turnout, also is like a very simple way for us to know what to do. Hang on, let me unfollow before I have to see Hyperbullet. I don't want to be watching any Hyperbullet. But like, if you look at the classical tournaments, let me see, like the April one, how many players did we have? We had like a ton of players. Basically, the point is very simple. We had like a ton of players, so that tells us to run it again. Like, look how many players. Look how many players. We're into the hundreds, 130. Looks like we had like 130 players in the April Rapid, in the April Classical tournament. And the May one, we also have over 130 players after just a couple weeks. I mean, we're still in the first week, actually, and we've got 130 players, right? So that tournament has a very good chance of crossing 150 players. So when I see that, it tells me to run that tournament. Oh, split the classical into time zones. Yar, have you had trouble scheduling your rounds? We could split it into time zones, I suppose. Laurent would like both 15-minute chess and 30-minute chess, but at different times. Nice. Oh no, there will still be a wrap, Samuel, if there are 150 people in the classical tournament. That will qualify as well. You play all your games at 1 a.m.? Oh, man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, 150 players in any tournament for now. We will unlock a wrap performance. They can play in the Sunday events. Yeah. Will there be a sub battle soon? Hopefully, Thad. Yeah, hopefully we'll have some more sub battles soon. This position here should be close to equal at the moment between Argasin and MJGG. Let's check out our other game between Falk and Zach. Zach has grabbed a greedy pawn, the Queen Knight pawn, the most famous pawn of getting behind in development in chess. An advanced French. Falk doesn't know what he's doing in any of these, by the way. He just started playing e4 7 days ago. So, and you can see it there. I mean, bishop g5 to back to e3. completely clueless move. He's having fun with it, Wrath of Gods. He's loving the switch to e4. The only thing, I didn't force him to switch to e4. I just forced him to not study the openings that he's playing. But if you've seen Falk in the group classes, ever since he switched to e4, he's got like a permanent big smile on his face. Even at 6 a.m., you know? He's like, I've been playing chess. You know, he's matching Nordovik. Got that big happy smile. A secret society inhabits something called the Boom Room. Do your parents know about the Boom Room, Chess Latte? And you guys are all bugs. And you've got a bug house addiction. Great. We'll talk about that on Dojo Talks Saturday morning. I think today's a Thursday, so that means tonight I have to teach lessons to the 12 to 1400 and 1400 to 1600 groups. I mean, I say have to. Not in the sense that, like, I don't like doing it. Just in the sense that I must squeak in a little more prep today before I go get my kids. But it means for anybody who's a fan of Falk, you'll get to see more of him this evening. He'll be on for his class. He'll have to squeak in some sleep between now and then, right? For him, it's already like he's playing a tournament at 10 p.m. and he's got to get up for chess class at 6 a.m. Goomba, you do. You've got a gi. Subs get gis. That's pretty much the end of our subscriber benefits. That's pretty much the end of our subscriber benefits. The only real benefit of being a subscriber is that it gives us hope to continue streaming. That's currently really the point of being a subscriber, is that we are like, do we have enough subscribers to keep building the stream? Yeah. So anyway, I mean, like when we have like sub battles, we let our like everybody who isn't a sub play. When we do like game analysis, we look at games of people who aren't subs. Glad to hear it, Wrath of Gods. Falk's thinking long and hard about this weird move from Zach. I guess Zach's hungry for the A pawn. Zach woke up with an empty belly today and was like, must fill with pawns. You played against us. You scored a point for Canty, MT Peb. You sunk us. I was watching that game in horror. Rooting against you while feeling all kinds of feelings. I suppose A3 is an important move for Falk here, right? Like A3, kick the knight, then play rook B1, and then take on B7. Oh, but I guess once... Oh, shoot. No, stop! Do I still have my games? Okay, I still got my games, maybe. Okay. So, so A3, knight C2, rook B1... Queen here, rook here. There's an issue that E3 is just not defended enough, right? And black's coming in and winning a rook. So A3, knight C2 is not going to go well. Perhaps greed will be rewarded here for Zach. But you just wanted to play chess. That's fine, MT Peb. In the end, it's all about chess, not about any of that other stuff. The other stuff is all just silly stuff for us to joke around about, right? All the who beat who and who's on what team and all that, you know. I don't take any of it seriously. Hopefully not Goomba. Definitely, no, Falk and Zach have been around for like 10 months, so they will not be listening. They know not to. Some of the new people were listening today while playing, because we had a few people who had not played in dojo tournaments before who were playing today. And apparently it's not just like a self-evident logical thing that you don't listen to the IM talking about your game while you play it. Apparently that's not obvious. Like, to some people, you really need to explain it. Which, okay, if that's how it is, that's how it is. I'm okay explaining it. I don't mind explaining. I don't call, like, you know, cheat on somebody who does that, because apparently most people, or a lot of people, think it's normal to do that. So I just explain it to them and tell them, like, hey, you know, now we'll stop. It's mostly distracting because I don't often give them, like, good advice. That's right, Log Loss. But sometimes I do. Depends on the mood of the chat. Yeah, chat is legal. They should mute the stream. They shouldn't listen to what I say. Okay, knight b3 is played. So the plan on knight c2 is probably to put the queen here. That's probably Falk's plan, to keep the knight from taking on e3 or a1. However, Not exactly a plot twist because black's already the one beating white down, but bishop b4, and the queen can't maintain the attack through the knight to restrain the knight. So I don't see how this is going to work for Falk after knight c2 here. I don't see how it's going to work. Hey, Lafong! Ça va? Shout out Lafong Hua. Friends, if you don't know my friend Lafong Hua, there's a link to his stream. You can follow him. He's a very, very wonderful person, as well as a FIDE master in chess. Very strong blitz player. And one of the strongest Benoni players that I know. An agony that we have shared over the years. You've received an important email. Cool. We look forward to your response. We look forward to your future visits, guest appearances on our stream. Followers of Lafong who have just showed up, welcome. I'll quickly tell you what we're watching here. We're watching a tournament. Oh, this was the plan. Bishop c1? Falk played it quickly, which is good. When you think for 4 minutes on one move, on your next move, you want to be ready and play it fast, you know? Thanks, Lafong. Take care. À la prochaine. So, what we're watching is a viewer tournament. And one of the things that our channel does a lot is run events for viewers to play in. We've got another viewer tournament tomorrow. Oh, you'll be able to play that one maybe, Chess Latte. Tomorrow's tournament is at noon. It's 1 hour later than today's tournament. We run a lot of viewer tournaments and then do like live commentary on viewer games. We also do post-mortem shows where we look at games that have already been finished and look at them together. So that's like a lot of what happens on this channel. I mean, we try to keep like a big variety, but that's definitely a common theme. So we will have live tournament commentary today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. And these are all viewer tournaments, not super grandmaster tournaments. So, what time tomorrow, Central European time? I don't know, 5-card draw. Noon my time, which is an hour and a half ago. So 1.5 hours ago is when the tournament starts tomorrow. And tomorrow's an endgame tournament. I will have selected an endgame position. You'll practice that same position throughout however many rounds of the 4-round tournament you play. So you can get, you know, deeper into your knowledge of that one endgame. Saturday, we're going to be watching classical chess. And that is, you know, we'll be doing that for a few hours. And they're just games that people have scheduled to play. And Sunday, we'll have a rapid tournament at the normal time for us, which is 10 a.m. Pacific on Sunday. All tournaments are rated by default on chess.com UFO. Yeah. There's no option for the organizers to switch it one way or another. Oh, we see like the tactics coming in from Zach. Bishop here, hitting the rook that was pinning the knight. But I guess white didn't lose anything. How did Falk not lose any material? Let's just focus on this position for 1 second, okay? So bishop c1, avoiding knight takes bishop. Queen can't take the rook because the knight's here. So that's why knight b3 was played. So Falk could get in the way of his own first rank connection. Chases the queen, queen comes back, rook c1, bishop a3, oops. I guess he should have just played rook b1 to begin with. But for the moment, honestly, Falk just has to be happy to be only down 1 pawn for nothing because his opening was an utter disaster. And he's got 21 minutes against 8. So, I mean, I guess that's something. It's not compensation for being down a pawn, but he's still in the game, I would say. Halgilda, I would gladly maybe look at one of your games. We'll see. Oh, you're talking to Nordovik, not me. Okay, cool. That's great. The dojo as a community is a great place to find other people to look at games with, of the games that you play, and like discuss your games with. So yeah, it's fantastic. You can find training partners to play with. You can find discussion partners to talk about your games with. Streaming 3 days a week at a pretty consistent time. Nice. All right, bishop comes out to a good square. Yeah, I guess Falk is in this game. Zach was trying to take this and win a pawn. Notice Zach like continually putting like pressure, right? He doesn't just castle or clean up his position. He's really trying to achieve something. Here he's trying to play knight takes d4. And maybe he can. Maybe he can take this second pawn now, right? If this knight can't take back. We'll see. Oh, I mean, actually, it's not that simple. One thing white has is knight takes, queen g4. Yeah, we'll see if Falk does that. That actually looks really dangerous for black. I don't know if Zach had enough time to calculate this correctly. I mean, Zach is down to 7 minutes, so at some point you do have to like hurry up the speed. But I don't know if in 30 seconds if Zach has really assessed what to do about this queen g4 move. Because the knight's hanging, the bishop could be hanging with check, also dropping this piece, and queen g7 could be an issue. So black would need like a really good move here. Maybe it'd be queen e5. But I wonder how well black was able to check that. Oh no, queen e5 wouldn't be good enough because this knight has also been unpinned, so to speak. The queen came off of d1, so I could just take it. Hang on, a move's been played. Live position, knight fd4. Okay. This is where having a little bit of extra time or being under some time pressure might like help, might hurt Zach a little bit. Yeah. So knight f5 loses to queen takes a4. Basically, any knight move loses to queen takes a4, I would think. So black has to do what? Maybe bishop takes b3 to get rid of the hanging bishop. That could be a move to throw in here for black. Queen e5 looks sort of complicated, but probably gets captured. Okay, yeah, so bishop b3. 30 seconds, so Zach's saving some time on the clock. That was more or less a forced move, so I think that was probably a good choice. On queen d4, bishop c4 keeps the bishop from getting trapped. Like this position here, black's almost losing a piece at the end because of like queen a4 check, and the bishop doesn't have many places to go. One saving move there. So white could take with the pawn, and then black only has 2 things dangling, so that's nice for black. Falk can afford to have a good think about this. You can also just play queen g7 here as Falk. You know, just win a pawn, make the rook move, and then take here. That may actually be best now that I think about it, because pawn takes queen e5. I don't for sure see white's follow-up there. If white doesn't have a good follow-up there, well, white needs a good follow-up there. So if Falk wants to go for pawn takes bishop, he's going to have to calculate something pretty interesting and tricky against queen here. The other option is to calculate queen g7 hitting the rook, with the idea that after the rook moves, then you could simply recapture, and now you know that the black king is sort of exposed for the whole game, and you're covering this. Oh, he's made some kind of move. Let's see what it was. Queen d4. Okay, I didn't look at this move very seriously because I thought bishop c4 solves black's problems, but we'll see. I mean, I guess it doesn't solve all black's problems now that I'm actually looking at it. Like white could take, and then here you can take. Hit the bishop, and then next move take on b7 or play rook c1, depending where it goes. So, I mean, that said, black's up enough pawns to play bishop c5 probably, and on queen b7 castle with a great position. See how that goes. My instinct is that queen g7 was the right way here. But we'll see. What happened with Mitch, Quiet Grandma? Mitch scored 2 out of 3 today in the highest rated quad. 2 wins and 1 loss. Or if you mean like outside of the tournament, what happened with Mitch, like in his life or something. Mitch updates include Mitch just took a huge actuarial exam, didn't study chess for like 3 months or so. He did lose the last round game to Rotterdam Girl, yeah. Good question, MTPed. Maybe this game's heated up a little bit or developed. They're playing a very, very solid endgame as far as what we had seen so far. Right? No hanging pieces. Everything on a good square. With this move, I don't know about, like, so I guess the plan, encouraging bishop g7, the plan must be knight c1, going after a2. White could also riskily give up the bishop pair to try and win a pawn, but I suppose this never even wins a pawn because black always has the h5 option. Ah, you were just inquiring about your points. I see, I see. Okay, this game is getting more intense. Knight d5, meeting tactics with tactics. If knight takes b2, knight takes e7, check, and takes the bishop on g6 as well. Queen e4, bishop c4 played, but Zach spent 2 minutes on it. So time trouble, I think, is going to be a bit of an issue for Zach this game. MJGG77 with the lead. I don't know if you guys can read these cross tables correctly or if they make sense, but you can see that MJGG77 has a 1 and a 1 so far, which means 2 points out of 2 so far this tournament. You know, maybe I can include the total column for you all. Hang on. I'll do this and then show like the total column. Does that work? Is that better? I don't know. So you can follow it like a real tournament, like, oh, who's going to do what? So the tournament's on the line for these two players. They're also very close to crossing 1,200, each of them. Let's see if either of them has ever been over 1,200 before. Rapid, highest rating ever, 1653 a year ago. That must have been like maybe when they had a provisional rating, won like their first 1 or 2 games and then dropped. I don't know. And then Argason, Rapid, highest rating 1,400 4 years ago. Okay, so they have been higher. They have been higher. You don't need to force yourself anything, Goomba. I believe in playing whatever time controls you really like. But knowing that you're below 1,200, can I offer you this video with further thoughts on that question, as well as every other question of how to spend your chess time? Knight trade coming in. Hang on. So here, bishop f6. Now the knight chose not to go to c1. That's odd. I thought the whole point was, oh, white's going to play knight back to c3 then, maybe? No, I think the point should still be knight c1, right? Going after the bishop pair and the a-pawn. Knight f4. White trades it. Trades over here. And then next move from white will probably be a4. Making that passed pawn out there? Probably. Think. Here, nothing too big. 4 minutes from Falk thinking about this, and then the bishop trade. Quick recapture from Zach, but Falk thinking again before taking a7, which he should be doing. I'm going to get rid of it soon, PB. I'm going to get rid of all of this annoying stuff. Okay, now if I were black, I would strongly consider bishop f7 here. Or king d5. But basically what I don't want to allow if I'm black here is this move for white. Yeah, that's my plan, Nordovik. Just have to find time to do it. You know, I have to figure out like prizes for the tournaments. I have to update the leaderboard. I have to send out invitations for Ultimate Sensei, invitations for the Gauntlet. I have to prepare my lessons. Oh no, it's not explaining how pieces move. Yeah, not at all. It's all about how to spend your time, what to do or not to do. All the advice for getting up to 1200 or so. Anyway, the big move for white would be this bishop c4 move. It looks like black's allowed it. Oh, black wanted to play king a5, and white showed black some technique there. Bishop d8. You don't get to go where you want to. Oh, backs off into a corner. Now bishop c4, and white's bishops control more precious diagonals than black's. It's like trade routes, right? But bishop c4 would be an edge for white.
Thank you for all the classes, tournaments, and critiques.
Oh, you're welcome, MT Peb. Do you guys see that new thing that that Hoki put in there? Now it like reads out what he says. That was crazy. But big thank you, MT Peb. I'm glad you're enjoying all these things we're doing. Wow, bishop c4 from Argasen. Impressive. Impressive. Now I'm looking at pawn trade, king coming up, king takes a pawn. The white king, if the white king can get up into the middle of the board, white's going to have an advantage here. It was very quiet. You couldn't hear it well? Okay. Well, it was a message for me, so I will... Oh, yeah, my sound was way turned down. Sorry, guys. Anyway, there's a new feature there. It was just a very nice message from MT Peb saying thank you for the tournaments, the commentary, feedback, the events we're doing. Just sweet stuff. Coder Future says, let's go Argasen, I guess. Now you're going to pick this guy to root for. Playing some very nice moves here. Okay, black's trying to fight back here. White should be okay with, you know, when the bishop gets there playing h4. So I see no reason not to clip the pawn. See what Falk and Zach are up to. Basically the exact position I expected, except that Falk lost the a2 pawn. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I guess there's a big question whether or not he's going to play bishop e3, like bishop e3, rook c8. How are these tactics going to work out? Zach's got just enough time to figure it out if that happens. So Zach won't lose because of time trouble. If this gets played, Zach will be able to calculate whether to take or play rook b8 or whatnot. Do you know if we're caught up on teaching all the lessons people have redeemed? I don't think we are, Mitch. I'm supposed to teach a lesson to Alexa, for sure. We do need a guest appearance from Yermo. Sorry, Wilton Bananen. Just so many... Wie wilt ein Banan. Sorry, I'm so many things to do for me, unfortunately. Not staying on top of everything. How long are the like redeemed lessons? They're 1 hour, Goomba. For like people redeeming like 100,000 Dojo Gold. And Kostya's the one who's been keeping track of them, Mitch. So I would let Kostya close out the the lessons and redemptions and stuff. I did teach a lesson to JB recently, and I saw Chaxis on stream getting a lesson as well. It says 45 minutes in the redeem button. Well, I guess that's just making it so that people feel better when they get an hour. I always thought it was an hour. Rook b2 chosen. Well, think of it this way, Alexa. Every hour that you were gaining those points, the senseis were also working. It's not like you're just gaining like points right now by working. If anything, it's me who works these 100 hours that get you that next hour where I also work. I think you do raise 2 GM, or at least you can tell Kostya what you like, and he'll sort of work it out, more or less. Okay, so maybe Falk is going for Rook bc2. It's intense, but I think that Black's going to be able to dodge out with Rook b8 and, stay up a pawn in this game. So I think Falk missed like the last big chance to justify everything. On Bishop e3, I don't know what Black would do. But I guess maybe, because if Rook b8, there's this. And this is just completely, it's got to be just completely GG. So I think this was the last moment, like Bishop e3 was a really big move. Now I don't really believe that White's going to have a tactic, and if White doesn't have a tactic, Black's got an extra protected pass pawn on d5 for nothing, so. What is time anyway? I think we had a draw offer in this game here, but White declined it. Argasin definitely with good winning chances here. Definitely with good winning chances. Offers the bishop trade, and then it's probably going to look to bring up the king and try and keep this g-pawn rolling. Chess Latte's trying to get through all of them. Oh, nice defense. Blocking the pawn so White can't play bishop d3. White can't play king f5. And if White takes, White can't even play king e4 to win this pawn. That is one of the stronger defensive moves we've seen today. Bishop g6. Fabulous resource. Okay, the ball's in your court, Argasin. What can you do here? That was like altogether too good of a move. Wow. I guess my plan here as White would be after trading to bring the king back to d2 and then play bishop d3 there. But even then, Black can retreat the bishop, and if you play g6, sack, bishop takes, king a6, draw. I don't know that White can win that position, even with the king coming back, and then bishop d3, because then the Black bishop will just back off. There's no increment, Douglas. This is 30-0 today. Falk played rook bc2, and Zach dodged out of the c-file with rook b8. Exactly right. And then after the queen moves, this bishop will just be home free. Bishop, check, sack, win both rooks. I don't see any checks from a dark squared bishop on a light square king. It's a good point, Belt Kyle, Black Belt Kyle. I think MJG may have gotten disconnected. Shoot, member offline. Because pawn takes bishop is very obvious. Oh, for Black, did Black just have a winning tactic? Let's see. On rook b2, should Black have tried this tactic, you mean? Here. Rook takes, no, not here. So maybe on the next move, here, bishop takes, king takes, and the rooks are defending. So no. That's right. Thanks, Mitch. I've repaired your cross table there. Okay, so here's the position. Queen c7 played. Okay, MJG reconnected. Takes, king comes back here. King catches the pawn. King b7. Okay, well now white's winning with bishop takes d3. Now white's winning. That d3 move was very unfortunate by black, but in black's defense, they just got disconnected for a minute and a half when they had a minute and 40 seconds on the clock. They reconnect with 10 seconds on the clock. That's a horrible, horrible feeling. Like, you just can't resist there. Now, g6, folks, would show the point that I made, where if there's still a pawn on d4, you can't make progress with g6 because of takes, king a6, right? That's what you have to watch out for as black. But here, without the d pawn, the white king is free to just waltz up here and queen the pawn. So, yeah. Rough. You can win without the a-pawn here by chasing this bishop out from behind the pawn. God, and there's no increment either, so just reconnecting with 10 seconds, it's like you're dead. Like, the server has defeated you. It doesn't even matter. It didn't even matter if MJGG kept up the great defense with the server doing that to them. So Argasin gets up to 2.5 points. Congratulations. Argasin wins the quad in the end. Bravo. By the way, folks, one interesting thing about these quads is that nobody scored 3 points. You can look at all these sections. The highest score in any quad was 2.5. And that's because when you get this kind of quad, oh, Pauly also wins. It's a 3-way tie in this one. Sorry, I didn't have that right, Pauly. When you get these quads, they're often like very, very narrow rating bands, very like closely matched. You get a lot of like really tight games. That was just terrible, MJGG. I feel so bad for you about that Wi-Fi. That was just like the server just doomed you. And you'd played such a great defensive move with bishop g6 there. Really, really fantastic. And then I'm sure you were like flustered trying to blitz out these last few moves with, as you flagged. It must have been a horrible experience, but hopefully a good experience up till this last minute of this game, because overall you did win several games today, and hopefully it's just fun to play chess, you know, when you're connected to the internet at least. Hey Dor, welcome. E22A1. Okay, I've got more of these cells wrong. E22 should be 1. Yeah, VSD should have a point here. That's correct. So VSD should have 2 points. Okay, so very quickly, folks, since some people are mentioning like when they're playing the classical games, this Saturday we have an episode of Dojo Talks at 10 a.m., which is when we normally do commentary on the classical tournament. So we're going to do Dojo Talks, and then at 11, we'll do classical tournament commentary. So we'll pick up the classical tournament commentary then, and do a couple hours of that as well. And we'll do classical games from the tournament. We'll do post-mortem Saturday evening. So we'll still cover the games, like the same number of hours. We're just going to have like a 1 hour bump. And when we do it, you guys can still play your games whenever. If anyone really had their heart set on having their opening analyzed at 10 a.m., I'm sorry that won't exactly work out this week. But do note, we never promised that there would be classical commentary. That I could not commit to. I could not commit to us being able to log all the hours of commentary that we would like to for this tournament. But we're organizing the tournament for you guys to at least play, whether or not there's any commentary. And I know the commentary can be nice. We're doing an extra episode of the postmortem every week so far, so we're definitely giving some coverage to these games. But hopefully you can also talk to your opponents about them or other friends in the dojo if the commentary is not keeping up with what you wanted. Yeah, and if you've scheduled to play the game at 10 a.m., play at 10 a.m. You know, we can still see your game at 11 a.m. What do you want to link for, Goomba? The result for your quad, MJGG, is you got 2 out of 3, I believe, in second place, half a point behind your last round opponent, Argasen, who you may have been able to draw that game against if you hadn't been disconnected there. It was very, very close. Right on the borderline between a win for Argasen and a draw for you guys. Right here, this bishop g6 move was fantastic. And in this position, you just don't want to play d3. This is right where you got reconnected. But basically, you want to like mark time like this. And then when white plays bishop d3, move your bishop away. Like so. And now it's tricky. If white plays g6, you can take and it's a draw. I know both of you guys saw that idea. If white backs the bishop up this way to attack the pawn, then your king can go after this. And if white moves the bishop on this diagonal to keep a6 covered, then you come back here and keep their king away from your pawn. So I hadn't seen for sure how white can win this endgame, right? With this, when you played bishop g6, I was like, what a defense. I cannot see how to win this for white. Like maybe there's a way, but I don't see it. So anyway, my take is that this endgame was balanced, like right on the edge between a win and a draw. Very, very close game. You guys can watch Dojo Talks as a VOD, or you can listen to it as a podcast, because we will turn it around and put it on the podcast site very quickly, so you can do that without, oh, there's still a live game, folks. No longer. Checkmate. You can listen to the Dojo Talks while going for like a walk or something, or a run, or who knows what. It depends how long they're disconnected, Chess Latte, and how much time they have, and I don't know. So what happened here? Basically like a typical conversion of the extra pawn, right? White plays f4 to defend this, but that's horror for white's king in a position with queens on the board. Oof. Oof. Nice crushing game by Zach to finish out the tournament. That is good perseverance. According to my cross table, Zach lost the first 2 games today. So for anybody who likes to give up when they're feeling like, oh, I'm not playing my best, I had a tough start to a tournament, Zach persevered, won the 3rd round game, and makes the whole day feel better by persevering right through that 3rd round. Yeah, fun tournament, Falk. There was the key moment, and you can check this. I know you're working on your calculation, Falk, but a key moment to me in this game is right here, move 26. You spent almost 3 minutes looking at rook b2, but I wonder what you calculated on bishop e3. So I know you need to go to sleep now. We've got a lesson in 6 hours. Or sorry, in 7 hours, so you can get a little bit of sleep. I know I'll see you soon. But just real quick, while this game and tournament is in your mind, in this position here, go back and try and calculate bishop e3 sometime. See, check on what you found during the game for this position. All right. Oof. Enough sitting, huh? Enough sitting around. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your health. All right. Thierry enjoyed the game 30. Nice. Nice. And Thierry, is it okay that I did this without an increment? I know we almost always put an increment, so if the game comes down to king and queen against king, you're not going to flag. Or, king and rook and 3 pawns against king and 2 pawns. Like, you're always going to be able to finish the game. But, like, the game 30 lets us just know that the round's over at a certain time. And because this was going to be a very rare tournament where we don't allow withdrawals, I wanted people to really be able to say, like, yes, the tournament will be done at this time for sure, and then I can go. Not be, like, waiting on 2 people playing a 200-move endgame with a 5-second increment, which is rare but can happen, And often our tournaments go over 10, 20 minutes, and I didn't want anyone getting, like, stuck with that, with the no withdrawal clause. So that's why I finally chose this. I thought of 25-5 versus 30-0. Your opponents keep trying to mate you with the Scholar's Mate lowest level of hell. They just don't know what level you're at now. Yeah, you're going to have to, like, move beyond those people pretty soon. In a month or two, your rating will be up 100 points and you won't be playing any of those people anymore. It'll be done. It'll be done. The Scholar's Mate will be in your past. Yeah. Yeah, I imagine, like, you and probably most people are used to playing with a little bit of an increment and prefer it. Those people are rated 1,000 and shouldn't be using it anymore. As I say, once you hit 1,200, you're a chess player, and it'll be behind you. But around 1,000, there are still some people doing it. Maybe they sometimes play against people rated 800 and win their games that way, so they just throw it out there in the opening, see if it works or not. If it does, yay, they gain some points. And if they don't, then they just keep playing from, like, a slightly bad position. But you're already at 1,200, but you're playing 1,000s. Oh, well, then you must just be beating them down. I mean, it's a little bit lame, but it should be just about done. Should be just about done. Should be just about over. All right. Speaking of just about over, let's see if Kostia's ready to take over. Because as you guys know, I got a lot of admin work to go do. Got to get ready for tonight's group lessons. Bishop c4 against the Caro. Yeah, if people are playing Bishop c4 against the Caro, you definitely want to be playing the Caro-Kann against those people. Okay, Kostia's ready. So folks, you don't need to go anywhere because one of our other senseis, Kostya Kavutsky, is going to take over for me and keep the stream going. What does the schedule say? The schedule says that Kostya is going to stream for the next 5 hours. His own chess training. I'll be on with the group lessons in 6 hours. So yeah, I'll see you guys later then. Everybody be well. For those of you who have any feedback about this tournament format or any other tournament formats, any event that, this is us trying out a new format and a new event. If you guys have any ideas of what you want to see, let us know. We're always trying new things. We got a new show coming on Sunday that you guys have never seen before called Dojo Rivals. I will say nothing more about it just now, except, like, we are trying to do new stuff all the time. So if there's something you want to see that we're not doing, let us know, and we'll take it into consideration, try and do it. If we're doing something and you think we're doing it too much and you want us to stop, you're like, you don't need to run this many endgame tournaments, or you don't need to do, like, this much commentary, or you could run more tournaments when you're not available to comment, just run the tournament anyway, so we've got more events to play with our friends. Any feedback like that, send me or Kostya or Jesse a DM, or DM Hokie. Send any of us a DM. We're like happy to get any kind of feedback like that, a message on chess.com, whatever, and we will be happy to work on that. Mitch, Sunday Night Fights is basically now Saturday Morning Classical. So Sunday night fights as like a Sunday night thing is not coming back. I think that's definitive right now, actually. Like, it was mentioned again yesterday in a call with Jesse and Kostya. Yeah. They didn't think it like took off that amazingly, even though a lot of people really loved it. And the Saturday time when we're doing commentary is like more, is friendly for more different time zones than the Sunday night time was, I think. And so that's what we're probably going to stick with for now as like a chunk of classical commentary every week. But if you think we should be doing even more than that, that's fair. You can vote for it. I'll see what other people say. It does seem like classical is extremely popular here, so we could do more classical maybe. What's Dojo Rivals? Desert Pagel, you'll have to wait till Sunday to find out. You can see it on the schedule there. Dojo Rivals episode 1. The pilot episode, you will be there live to say you saw the first one. If it turns out to be a good show that takes off, who knows? All right, I'm going to get out of Kostya's way. Have a great day, everybody. Love you all, and I love chess too, as you know. You may need to refresh in a second to see Kostya's stream once I stop this one.